All right, we're getting closer to the Olympics. All the rosters are out, and with that, we got some juicy snubs that got people asking, what the hell are they thinking, and will it come back to haunt them? So, we're going to break down the top 5 worst NHL Olympic snubs. Now, the criteria for this list is not simply who's having the best season left off the teams, but rather who would provide the most all-around value to their nation given their particular skill set. So, let's break down these players, why they were snubbed, and why they should be on the squad. It's also totally possible that some of these guys or all these guys make it on as injury replacements since there's about 1 million games in January due to the condensed schedule. Now, let's get right into it, and coming in at number 5 is going to be Matthew Schaefer for Team Canada. Matthew Schaefer is doing things that no NHL defenseman has ever done at 18 years old. He was the youngest NHL defenseman in history to reach 25 points in a season. He became the youngest NHL defenseman to score 10 goals, and he single-handedly transformed the New York Islanders seemingly overnight. Statistically, he's smashing records, but the more impressive thing to me is how he can dictate the game this early into his career. Now, his absence from this team can hurt Canada. Outside of Cale Makar, the Canadians do have some pretty good defensemen, but in terms of possession and controlling the pace with their skill set, the closest thing in terms of ability to Makar is Matthew Schaefer. Considering the United States have 2 of these types of defenders in Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski, it could end up being a difference maker. Now, this visual from Mike Kelly on X shows just how dominant of a defenseman Schaefer has been this year. He's first in rush chances, second in zone exits, third in possession time, and fifth in slot passes amongst all defensemen in the NHL. His game is built off of IQ and elite skating to have pace in all 3 zones. If best on best is going to be anything like the Four Nations, forechecking will be a huge factor in this tournament, and teams that can evade the pressure most effectively will likely have success in this tournament. Like I said, Schaefer is ranked second in zone exits, and it's because of how frequently he can beat the F1 with either his feet or his reads. The obvious thing that pops out when watching Schaefer is the raw speed. Buddy is like a gazelle out there when he gets motoring. There's not a forechecker in the game that can really angle him down. Going up against Team USA, for example, Schaefer's escapability would be very helpful in that type of situation. Now, even when pressure closes in and he has the puck and there's no available option, he's more than capable of making the right read to make the safe and correct play in order to fight another day. But not only does he help his team exit the zone with the puck, but he also does it without it. His mobility and reads are just as important to executing his breakouts. Frequently, Schaefer is active on the weak side to provide a relief option to get his team out of a pinch. With how tight and dialed in forechecks will be in this tournament, having defenders activate on the weak side will be essential for teams to get out of jams when the opponent has fully set up their forechecking trap. Of course, these skills translate in the O-zone too. We've seen firsthand how well he can create in the offensive zone with other really talented players. His connection with Barzal has made both of them extremely dangerous options at any given time. Now, with all that being said, they decided to keep him at home for the time being. Obviously, being a teenager in his rookie season, there are a lot of unknowns about how his game would translate under the pressure of the Olympics. However, the generational types of talent like he is usually adjust pretty quickly, and not having him there is a big snub. However, with injuries, I think the kid is the next man up or next kid up. I don't know. He's going if they need a D. Now, coming in at number 4 is Adam Fox. This one is a bit of a cold-hearted snub because he was on the squad last year, and this year he's told he ain't good enough to come back. I get why people are split on it. I talked about it in our Team USA roster breakdown, but a lot of fans pinned the game-winning goal last year on Fox himself. But if you go back and actually watch it, this play was a full-on breakdown across the board with almost every U.S. player on the ice playing a role in it. That said, Adam Fox is still one of the best two-way defensemen in the world. He's elite on puck retrievals, his first pass is as good as anyone's, and he defends with intelligence more than force. He angles well, anticipates plays, and disrupts without having to run guys through the boards. The problem is, Team USA already has a lot of that. When you look at Sanderson, Hughes, and Werenski, you're talking about similar puck-moving profiles, but with one key difference: pace. Fox just isn't the same level of skater as those other three. His speed metrics are actually below league average, and it's pretty clear the U.S. wants to build a lineup that can play fast. Add in the fact that Fox isn't overly physical and a bona fide penalty killer, it makes more sense why they went with a guy like Seth Jones. He's bigger, stronger, and more effective at clearing bodies in front, and he closes gaps really well in the neutral zone, which is something the U.S. really emphasized in the Four Nations last year. This was apparently all GM Bill Guerin's call too. There's zero doubt that the Rangers management went to bat for Fox. He got Mike Sullivan as head coach, David Quinn on the staff as well, and Chris Drury in management. Despite this, the U.S. clearly felt that pace of play was an issue at the Four Nations, so he gets the snip. That being said, he is still the most versatile option for Team USA if a D goes down. Unfortunately, he's on the LTIR right now, so all the bounces get worse for Adam Fox. Now, coming in at number 3, we got Sam Bennett. Bennett the Menace. Like Adam Fox, this one seemed almost personal as well. Sam Bennett has done pretty much everything you could do the past 2 seasons to prove that you could play in the biggest moments. He won back-to-back Stanley Cups. He was one of the 3 Canadians to step up to the Kachucks and drop the mitts in the craziest 9 seconds we've seen in hockey. Not to mention, in the final game versus the US, he scored the game-tying goal to force overtime. Of course, that was all topped off by him having a Conn Smythe winning playoff run. There was literally no player who has proved he belongs in these big games more than Sam Bennett over the last 12 months. When people talk about Sam Bennett, though, they usually start with the physicality. The hits, the edge, the chaos, all of it is amazing, but the most underrated part of his game, and honestly the most important, is what he does in transition. Bennett is one of Florida's primary engines through the neutral zone. Rarely drifting wide, he attacks the middle of the ice over and over again, and that alone bends defenses. His north-south tempo gives Florida instant exits, quick counters, and numbers advantages before teams can fully reset. He's really good at holding on to pucks just long enough to force defenders to commit, and then he likes to dish it wide and let his teammates attack an open ice. His timing in the offensive zone is elite as well. He knows when to float and when to attack downhill, which is why his shot quality is usually off the charts. He's not a pure sniper, but he lives in the dangerous areas in the interior of the ice, which is something that could be sorely missed in tightly contested games like we saw last year at the Four Nations. Then, of course, you have the physical side. Bennett isn't just a hitter, he's a punishing hitter. He doesn't chase contact, he picks his spots. That type of unpredictability keeps defenders on edge, rushing plays, or just bailing entirely. That fear feeds directly into his offense, and it's clear that Canada felt that this was addressed by having Tom Wilson on the team. That leaves Cirelli and Horvat as the guys that also likely took his spot too, both of which kill penalties. Bennett can, but it isn't exactly his forte, so Canada went the other route, leaving arguably one of the biggest gamers at home with this roster. That being said, he did confirm that he's on speed dial to be an injury replacement for Canada if need be, so no hard feelings, right? Now, coming in at number 2, we have Connor Bedard. When he went down with injury, this kid was torching the league. Top 5 in scoring, 19 goals and 44 points in 31 games, had the Hawks just a point out of the playoffs, and then his shoulder combusted at the worst possible time. Now, Team Canada's GM, Doug Armstrong, said after the roster announcement that the injury actually didn't play into their decision on Bedard too much. They simply just decided to go with different bodies. Now, the general consensus on why he was snubbed was because of his defensive game. They would rather have a utility player that can check in all situations and be a little bit more versatile to play up and down the lineup instead of having Bedard, who is likely just a fit in the top 6. And although his defensive game isn't as good as his offensive game, it has improved drastically this season. They asked Chicago's coach Jeff Blashill what he thought, and he said, quote, "I don't think the rest of the league knows how good of a two-way winning hockey player Connor has become. I don't think they have a full understanding of how good a winning hockey player he is today. The reason why I know he's a big-time winning hockey player is because when he was in our lineup, we were 1 point out of the wild card. Since then, we're 1-6-1. That is the impact he's had. You don't have that impact if you're just a point getter. You only have that impact if you're a true two-way kind of winning player, and that is what he's become. And you know what? The coach is right. Bedard has become noticeably quicker this season. That, of course, has helped him offensively, but defensively, it's helped him track pucks more effectively. His unique understanding of offense allows him to make really intelligent reads on the defensive side of the puck to create turnovers too. He's improved drastically on the face-off dot as well, and the overall compete has gone another level this year in his game. I mean, the guy literally said coming into the season that he wasn't going to take shit from anyone this year, and he's backed up every single word so far. The good news is that he too is also on speed dial for Team Canada if they need him. However, I think it matters what type of player gets hurt, if any. For example, if a bottom 6 player can't compete, I think they go with Sam Bennett as a first replacement, but if someone in the top 6 can't go, then I think they get Bedard in there to help fill that offensive gap. Now, before we go on to number 1, there are a couple honorable mentions here. Matthias Ekholm, who was on Team Sweden last year, didn't get a call back. His invitation must have gotten lost in the mail. That's a big omission. Lane Hudson is another one for Team USA, but I don't think that's bigger than Adam Fox. Like I said, Team USA already has an abundance of elite offensive puck movers. That puts Hudson on the outside looking in as too much of the same thing. Fox is also a little bit more refined than Hudson defensively too, so that's why he gets the edge there.
Cole Caulfield is another big snub for Team USA, one of the best pure goal scorers in the league. Caulfield has the shot that can change an entire game. His biggest knock is that defensively, he isn't as involved that Team USA would prefer, and also size, being 5'8". It just didn't seem like it was in the cards for Team USA to take a smaller player. For Canada, there's also Mark Schaefer. He's another one too. Probably missing some others too. Imagine being snubbed from the snubs. That is brutal. All these sick players were told to take a hike, but no one got a bigger double bird from their country than our number one spot, which is Jason Robertson, the RoboCop. Since January 1st, 2025, no American-born player has scored more goals than Robertson. He's the only American with 100 points in that span. He's tied for first on Americans among points, shots, power play goals, power play points, you name it. Flat out, he's been one of the most, if not the most productive players available in this time frame. The knock on him is speed and defense. Now, we touched on this in our USA video too, but Robertson is not fast. It takes him about 2 to 3 business days to make it up the ice. He's well below average in terms of speed, but we've known that for years, and yet it has never stopped him from producing. He thrives with his hockey IQ, timing, and off-puck routes that are consistently putting him in the right place at the right time. What he lacks in physical speed, he more than makes up with processing speed. No one scores more high-danger goals from 2 feet around the net than Jason Robertson. That's his game. Tips, rebounds, interior touches, quick releases under pressure. He is exactly the kind of offense that thrives in a tightly contested, checked game, which makes the snub even more puzzling the second time around. Yeah, I said the second because they already snubbed the guy last year in the Four Nations. The real issue, though, here is style. Team USA is clearly prioritizing pace, forechecking ability, and overall versatility. Tage Thompson and Clayton Keller play with more speed and can probably carry out more pace on a forecheck as the F1. Robertson, though, fits more in that F2, F3 slot as the trigger man. You also have Vinny Trocheck and JT Miller, who provide both penalty killing and physical intangibles that the USA believe are essential to have in this tourney. That unfortunately leaves the RoboCop at home, and the worst part is that he isn't on speed dial for Team USA. Apparently, Robertson didn't hear much after not getting the call, making this snub even worse going into the Olympics for February. So, who do you think are the biggest snubs? Which countries do you think will regret it the most? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you want to see more NHL and Olympic content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss a single thing.